Today we're going to look at how to interpret a graph. So we're going to find the slope, we're going to find the y-intercept again, but we're going to say, what does that mean? What does that mean in the problem kind of thing? So I would take a screenshot of this. And remember, I'm going to let you take your notes on your test coming up. Use your notes. So these are the 4 questions I always ask myself when I'm looking at a graph. Is my slope positive or negative? And if we remember, let me use white instead here. So on a graph, if the line is going up from left to right, the slope is positive. On a graph, when your line's going down, your slope is negative. So that's a reminder from last class. The second question I ask myself is, what is the scale? What is it going by? Is it going by 1s? Is it going by 2s? Is it going by 5s? This is the number 1 reason people get the question wrong, because they do not look at the scale of the graph. The second question is, what is the y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis? And then finding the slope, rise over run. Yesterday I was looking at everyone's Nearpods and I'm realizing people are switching this. So I don't know how to help you memorize it, but rise over run is the up and down over the left and right. So how far vertically over horizontally. And another reminder from last class, y equals mx plus b. M stands for slope. B stands for y-intercept. So let's look at our first graph. Please, 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 I'm begging you, try to do what I asked you to do. Take a screenshot and annotate it on your screen. Because looking at me doing it, trust me, it's not going to help you learn this. All right, so please answer me as I ask these questions. First question, is my slope positive or is my slope negative? Positive, perfect, because this line is going up from left to right. So I know my slope is going to be positive something. I have to figure out what that rise over run is. Now, here's my second question. What is the scale of my graph? If I look, the x-axis and the y-axis are going by 2 different things. What is the x-axis going by? 1. And what is the y-axis going by? 5. So keep that in mind in a moment. My third question is, what is the y-intercept of this graph? Perfect. -5. Bam. It hits the y-axis right here at -5. So B equals -5. There's my y-intercept. Now let's find the slope. And this is the big part that I saw people not understanding. So because I'm not there, I could really, and you don't have paper, this is just so much more difficult. To find the slope, you need 2 points on your line. I'm gonna choose this point, and I'm gonna choose this point. And I need to figure out how much I'm rising, so straight up vertically from one point to the next, and how much I'm running. So I'm trying to figure out my rise over my run. So I'm rising, this is not 1, this is going by 5s. So I'm rising 5, but I'm running This is going by ones. I'm running 1. So my slope is positive 5 over 1, or just 5. So everyone write down what the equation would be. If my slope is 5 and my y-intercept is negative 5, what would the equation be for this graph? Someone type it in the chat for me. Or say it out loud. What would be the equation for this graph? Awesome. So y equals, the slope is 5, so I put 5 right here, 5x. And the y-intercept is negative 5, so it'll be minus 5. Awesome. Thank you for participation in the chat. So this would be my equation for this graph. Please ask questions. Please, please, please. All right, let's look at this graph. My first question is my slope positive or is my slope negative? Good, this line is going down from left to right. So I know my slope will be negative, and I'll figure out my run in a minute, since that's the hardest part. Second question, what is the scale of the x and y axis? What is it going by? 5, good. So this is going by 5, so I'll just keep that in mind. This number is not important in terms of the equation, it just, and when I find my slope, it's important. What is the y-intercept of this graph? Perfect, 10. Keep the y-axis at 10, so b equals 10. Now it's time to find the slope. So I'm going to use, well, there's only 2 points to choose from, the one on the y-axis and this point right here. So I need to figure out my rise over my run. So everyone do it right now yourself. Don't wait on me. Figure out the rise over run. And go ahead and private chat me what you think the slope is. Let me see some answers in the chat. Let me see some answers in the chat. If you don't know, then if you have no clue, then that probably means you need to ask a question, right? If you are totally lost on how to find the slope. I'm gonna wait 2 more minutes. So if you're not answering me in the chat, that tells me you don't understand, okay? So you're trying to find the slope of this graph, the rise over the run. So you're trying to figure out from each point to each point, how much am I rising? From one point to the how much am I running? So how much am I going up to get to that point, and how much am I going to the side to get to the next point? Thirty more seconds. All right. So that tells me about half of you still don't understand. So that means to me, I need to go either slower or I don't know. So everyone look at the screen. So if you're kind of zoning out, I understand me here. I can't really hold your attention as well. Okay. But I need everyone to pay attention. To figure out slope, I do rise over run. So I'm trying to figure out how much am I rising to get to the other point and how much am I running to get to the other point. So I'm going up. How much? Well, this is going by fives. So I'm going up 5. And then I'm going running horizontally 5 because this is going by fives, 10. So my run is 10. So my rise over run is 5 over 10. But my slope is going down. So this is negative 5 over 10. Or this would reduce to negative 1/2. So my slope is negative 1/2. My y-intercept, we found that out, is positive 10. So the equation to my line, and we write equations, y equals mx plus b. The equation is y equals negative 1/2, because that's the slope, x, I'm writing in the x, plus 10. All right, so some people in the chat were correct, but no one put the negative. So let's make sure we know if it's negative or positive. So we're gonna look at some more graphs, and by the end of this presentation, everyone needs to be able to participate and tell me what the questions I'm asking, okay? And if you don't understand, then you need to speak up and say something. So slope, what does it mean? My slope is rise over run, my change in y over change in x. In a word problem, I would word this, my y per x. So when I'm asking, what does the slope mean? I would take what my y value means. So what is the definition of my y per what the definition of my x is. So for example, let's say I have a graph and the y-axis stood for miles. That was the title of the y-axis. And the x-axis stood for hours. If I asked you what the slope meant in the problem, I would say, what does the y stand for? Miles. Put per in the middle of it. And then the x-axis, hours. So the slope would be miles per hour. So that's how we would interpret slope, and you'll see more in a moment. The y-intercept, the graph crosses the y-axis. This tells me like my starting amount, how much I start with, or like how much I deposited in a bank or something. Or how much does it cost to get into something? Or just like a base fee. It costs $2 for the cup and 50 cents per refill. So this tells me how much I start with. Let's look at our first graph. And again, what I ask you to do is probably take a screenshot of this so that you can annotate it in your pictures. Then you have notes in your pictures, because I don't expect you to draw this graph in your journal. So let's look, and we're going to do everything we just did before. So my first question always is my slope positive or is my slope negative? Positive, because this line is going up from left to right. So I know my slope is positive. So my slope is going to be positive something. I don't know the rise over run yet. My second question is we have to look at the scale. So what is the x-axis going by? Sorry, I'll put it here. 2. Perfect. So my x-axis is going by 2s. That's important. And what is my y-axis going by? 6. So that's just important for when I do my rise over run. What is the y-intercept of this graph?
6.
So it's the y-axis at 6. All right, so let's find our slope. So I want you to do this on your own. I want you to find the slope of this graph. It doesn't matter which 2 points you use. I'm gonna use these 2 points. And I need to figure out my rise over run. So I want everyone to figure out the slope and type it to me in the chat. Remember, what is your y-axis going by and what is your x-axis going by? So do not say 1 over 1 because these are not going by ones. Remember, rise over run. Rise over run. Thirty more seconds. Thank you for the people who are in the chat. And please understand, I'm not trying to make you feel like you don't understand, but I'm challenging you to understand, okay? So I don't want you to hide behind not speaking so that you sit there and just don't understand the whole time. So I'm rising, this y-axis is going by 6, so I'm rising 6 and I'm running 2. So my rise over run, my rise is 6, my run is 2. 6 over 2 reduces into 3. So my slope is 3. So my equation for this line, and awesome to the people who gave me the whole equation. Thank you for doing the extra. The slope is 3, so I put 3 for slope, x, and my y-intercept is 6, so plus 6. So let's talk about what this means though. So this is talking about a pool, me going to the pool. And the y-axis is how much it costs to go to the pool, and the x-axis is the number of passes. So the y-intercept is 6. So this tells me to get to the pool, this tells me to go to the pool, to go to the pool, it costs $6 to get in. So it costs $6 just to get into the pool. I haven't bought any passes yet. It costs $6. Then let me figure out what this 3 means. This $3 tells me it costs $3. The slope is telling me it's $3 per pass. Because it's the y per what the x stands for. So it costs $3 per pass. $3 per pass. And it costs $6 to get into the pool. I'll go ahead and tell you that for the assignment today, it's a quiz about interpreting graphs. So if you're not understanding, make sure that you ask a question. So my y-intercept tells me how much it costs to get in, and the slope is telling me, oh, it's $3 per pass once I get in. All right, never is the order. So first question is my slope positive or is it negative?
Positive.
Perfect, thank you. So it's positive something. My scale, what is my x and y axis going by? 2. Perfect. What is the y-intercept of the graph?
0.
0, awesome. So my y-intercept equals 0. And then I need to figure out my slope. So I need to figure out my rise over run. So go ahead and do that again, since I think that's the most challenging part. So I need to figure out how much I'm rising to how much I'm running to get from one point to the next. So you do not have to chat me, but try to do it on your own first. If you want to put in the chat, all right. If you put in the chat, give me the whole equation. All right, so I'm gonna figure out my rise over my run. So I'm rising 2 and I'm running 2, 4. Excuse me. So my rise over run is 2 over 4, which reduces into 1/2. So when I'm writing this equation, y equals mx plus 3, it'll be y equals, my m is 1/2, my slope. And now the y-intercept is 0, so I really don't have to write plus 0. I can just write y equals 1/2 x. Awesome, good job people who wrote me in the chat. So this is saying for the number of pizzas, and the number of people, For 0 people, there's 0 pizzas. That's what the y-intercept is telling me. That makes sense. 0 people, 0 pizzas. The slope is telling me the y over x. So the y stands for the number of pizzas. The x represents the number of people. So that means I have 1/2 pizzas per people. 1/2 pizzas, the y, per people. 1/2 pizzas per people. So that means each person will get a half a pizza. I assume this is like a whole box, not half a slice. So a half a pizza per person. We'll do one more and then we'll go on to today's activity. All right. Cellular phone plan, whatever that says. All right. Is my slope positive or is it negative?
Negative.
Awesome. Yes. So my slope is negative. The scale of my x and y axis are different. What is the x axis going by?
4.
4. Awesome. What's the y axis going by?
20.
20. Okay, it's gonna be interesting. What's the y-intercept?
60. 60.
Awesome. The y-intercept is 60, so b equals 60. And now I need to figure out my slope. So just remember your slope, we've already said it was negative. So we need to figure out our rise over our run. But we know it's going to be negative something. We already said the slope is negative. I'm going to use these 2 points here. Figure it out first. If you're bold, go ahead and put it in the chat. Awesome. All right. So I'm rising. So my rise is always my vertical going up or down. My run is my horizontal. We do this in a different color. So I'm rising. This is going by 20s. So I'm rising 20 and I'm running. This is going by 4s, 4, 8. So my rise and run will be negative 20 over 8. That reduces into what goes into both 20 and 8, 4 does. So that would be 5 over 2. Or I can put a negative 5 over 2. Or I can put negative 2.5. So you either have negative 5 over 2 or negative 2.5. Good job in the chat. The only thing I saw is make sure you do rise over run. So don't switch the two. So my slope is negative 2.5 and my y-intercept is 60. So my equation would be negative 2.5x plus 60. So what does that mean in the problem? This is talking about a cellular phone plan. Y'all don't probably understand this because y'all have unlimited everything. So y'all don't have to pay for minutes. But when I was in y'all's age, I mean, I'm not that old, but when I was y'all's age, we had to pay for every minute we talked to somebody. Every text message cost 10 cents. So I was like, boy, don't be calling me. I'm not trying to pay for your phone calls. So that means for my cellular phone plan, at 0 months, I start at 60 minutes. So every month, I start at 0 months, I start with 60 minutes on my phone plan. And then my rise over run. My y-axis is talking about the number of minutes. My x-axis is talking about the days of the month. So that means I used 2.5 minutes per day. 2.5 minutes per day. That means I only talked on the phone for 2.5 minutes per day. That's the most. I don't even think that's realistic. So 2.5 minutes per day. So my y per x. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at, my recording's gonna end now. I'm just saying this for the video. Go on Canvas and look at those videos. So I'm just stopping my recording now. Okay.